have with us in the studio today Mr. Richard Akinnola,
Yes.
veteran journalist who has been practicing for over 30 years now.
35.
35 years, wow, that's huge. We're looking at late Dele Giwa, who was also a veteran journalist before the unfortunate incident, the Paso bomb incident. So for the younger generation born after the death of Dele Giwa in 1986, who would you tell them Dele Giwa is?
Well, Dele Giwa was in a class of his own. He brought, he popularized more or less in terms of investigative journalism because of his background. Having schooled in the US and with that kind of liberal interpretation of journalism and in terms of in-depth investigation. When he now came back and joined Daily Times, when Dr. Dele Giwa brought him back from the US and joined Daily Times, then he tried to practice what he learned in the US, but of course, because of the nature of Daily Times, which was partly government owned, he couldn't achieve that much, although he tried, in terms of his output, in terms of his column, parallax, snaps. Then, of course, when Abela started his Concord in 1980, in March 1980, he joined Concord and as editor of Sunday Concord, where he was able to have the leverage to do what he wanted in terms of investigative journalism and interpretative journalism too. So, of course, which eventually led to, Sunday Concord being a top-notch in terms of weekly publications, with the exception of Sunday Times of those days that had print run of 500,000. Daily Times group, 500,000 daily. I think Sunday Concord 2, and with the sister publication, National Concord. Those were top-notch publications at that time. And of course, after some time, himself and his colleagues, Yakubu Mohammed, Dan Agbese, moved out to set up Newswatch. And of course, Newswatch became this in thing because prior to that time, there was nothing like a weekly news magazine. What we had there was monthly, like New Breed of Chris Okolie, which was a monthly firebrand monthly magazine, but Newswatch became the first weekly news magazine and became the toast of the Nigerians. And of course, with the depth of the kind of story they were coming out with, it was inevitable that Newswatch will eventually run into rough waters with the military government. So, which eventually led to his unfortunate death on October 1986. Yeah.
Do we have anybody towing the line of Dele Giwa in terms of investigative journalism?
No. So, in fairness to the Nigerian media, there are so many people. Okay, for example, when Dele Giwa came in with his next magazine, Dele Giwa tried to do. Dele was a protege of Dele Giwa. Dele Giwa brought him from Concord to Newswatch, and Dele Giwa was like his son to Dele Giwa. And before eventually he went to US, was involved in different publications before he now came into Nigeria to come and set up Next newspaper. And Next wanted to do what Dele Giwa used to do. But unfortunately, I'm coming back to what I was saying earlier, because the terrain had changed and the economic and political circumstance is different from what it used to be. And in the present context of Nigerian media, that if you don't have the necessary advert support, particularly if you are against wrongdoings in the system, and these are people who control the lever of the economy and they cannot support your medium, then you are bound to have problems. And that's what Olajide tried to do with Next magazine, and try with that kind of template of Dele Giwa But unfortunately, I mean, Next could not survive the economy because those who held the lever of the finances in the economy squeezed Next of adverse, and until Next died. So the issue is that there are people in different areas doing exactly what Dele Giwa had done, and even much better. But I cannot just mention names because the people doing it at their own different levels. But the fact that the circumstances have changed, things have changed, and there's some unsung people doing lots of things. There's some whistleblowers doing some that we don't even know them. But they give some information to some media houses, but they are the real heroes in terms of investigative journalism, but people don't know them. So that's why it's difficult to mention names because there are different people and different levels that contribute their own quota.
All right, sir. So how do you think the memory of Dele Giwa can be best preserved?
I think the best thing we can do is for us to insist on the implementation of the Oputa panel. At the Oputa panel, lots of revelations came in. Before Oputa panel, Gani Fahimi was dogged in terms of trying to find the killers and prosecute those who he believed were the killers of Dele Giwa. And I was involved in the case, covered the case. I mean, there were over 246 court appearances with over 28 cases as far as Dele Giwa was concerned when Gani was fighting that case. And of course, when Oputa panel was set up, Gani petitioned the Oputa panel, Ray Epu, who succeeded Dele Giwa in Newswatch, editor-in-chief, petitioned the Oputa panel, and lots of revelations in terms of the story that Dele Giwa was working on. Particularly, the speculation was that because of the Gloria Okon angle, which Gani Fahimi said that Dele Giwa told him that he was working on this story, and which again came to revelation during the Oputa panel. So, and eventually, at the end of the Oputa panel sittings, the Oputa panel recommended that the case of Dele Giwa be reinvestigated, should be reopened and be reinvestigated. But the problem that who will do it? That was during Obasanjo regime. After Obasanjo, we have had Yaradua, we have had Jonathan, now we have Buhari. But none of them has the political will to reopen the investigation of Dele Giwa. So the legacy we can have, as far as the issue of Dele Giwa is concerned, is to have the assassination of Dele Giwa had to be reopened. I mean, the investigation had to be reopened for prosecution. And that's the best legacy we can give to the memory of Dele Giwa, because we have had 4 presidents since that recommendation: Obasanjo, Yaradua, Jonathan, now Buhari, but none of them seem to have the political will to implement that particular recommendation. I think the only thing we can do is to continue to insist on the government to reopen the investigation, because some of them, some of those who investigated the case are still alive. DIG Omebe is still alive. Former Commissioner of Police Abubakar Sav, who actually led the initial investigation, is still alive, and his recommendation are contained in my book on Dele Giwa.
But sir, if we could ask, why do you think our presidents are being reluctant to reinvestigate the death of Dele Giwa?
You see, in our local parlance, we called all these people political principalities. They are all the same political class, and they don't want to rough weathers. And because the person suspected to have been involved, or his security men involved in the killing of Dele Giwa, is still alive and is their colleague, perhaps that is the major reason why they don't have the political will to act against it.
All right, so on a lighter note, do you think Nigerians or politicians today need to erect a statue for Dele Giwa just to preserve his memory?
Well, I believe that it's unfortunate in Nigeria that how many Nigerians that are due for national honors have actually been honored. And that's one of the reasons why Gani Fahimi was given one, was supposed to be given CFR, and he rejected it. So you see, because the national honor has been so much devalued that those who actually deserve to be honored in Nigeria are not honored. That's why you see, with the exception of Lagos, that erect statue in respect of memory of Ganifa Himi, Bekora Sokuti, Akaba Shoru. They are now recently fella. So, and these are the icons that we need to reverence their memories, not the rubbish that Rochas, has just done, which insulting the sensibilities of Nigerians by erecting a statue for Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma, a sitting president that is facing the Constitutional Court is indicting for corruption, and again that majority, many people who are Southeast extraction have been killed by South Africans. When you expect an Okorocha, for example, to challenge Zuma, why are our people being killed? Rather, you are erecting one useless statue, for Zuma. That's the height of idiocy.
Looking at journalism today compared to when, during the military era, would you say there has been progress or decline?
No, I think Nigerian journalists are very resilient. And I believe that even right from time under the military, I believe that the Nigerian media have been very free, despite all the attacks on the media. Relatively, I would say, compared to some African countries, I would say we are free, even under the military. Because the freedom that we are enjoying today was not given to us on the platter of gold. Nigerian media had to fight. Even from pre-independence era, from Awolowo, Haba Macaulay, and all this, it was struggle and struggle for independence led by journalists. And even under the military, it had been advocacy journalism being done. But after the return to democracy, things have changed because, as I said earlier, it was an analog era when we had no phones, no social media, but things have changed now in the terms of citizen journalism and in terms of social media activism. So, and I believe that, yes, the Nigerian media have still tried their best, but unfortunately, the unfortunate thing which which I'm not too happy about is that an average Nigerian journalist today is more concerned about livelihood than professionalism.
Yeah, like brown envelope.
Yeah, I've seen situations in which I myself have held programs that will benefit journalists. And let me give an example. I have a foundation that takes care of widows of journalists. We have, in this country, most media houses, they don't have insurance provisions for their people. The professional bodies doesn't care. So in 2010, I established a foundation for widows of journalists, and which I give the children scholarships and take care of the widows, house rent, blah, blah, blah. So, and sometimes when I hold some of these functions in giving out money to this empowerment to all these widows, some of the people who are coming to cover that event will still ask me to give them money. And I feel embarrassed that, okay, come on, wait a minute. I'm honoring widows and children of your dead colleagues. Tomorrow could be your turn. Then why do you think I will need to give you money to cover this kind of event? So that's the level, there's hardly any event, any press conference that you go that, they will expect something must be given. So that's the level in which you are. Most journalists, it has been so much commercialized, and even the professional aspect in terms of professional development is not being attended to. An average Nigerian journalist doesn't read. Even the report they have published, their own story in paper today, they won't read it. So, and I believe that 3 professions that people need to read constantly: 1, journalism; 2, law; then 3, medicine. Because the 3 professions are quite dynamic, things keep changing on a regular basis. The law of privacy, as regards the media, in 1985, is no longer a law of privacy. Things have moved on. So you need to keep updating yourself. But an average Nigerian journalist does not read, does not do research. That's my major challenge. I think that's more commercial oriented.
So how would you say the media regulatory bodies need to ensure media houses perform their function as the fourth estate of the realm?
Unfortunately, the Nigerian Press Council has been moribund since 1999. When Tony Momo was Minister of Information, tried to bring out the Nigerian Press Council decree. There were lots of controversy from the Nigerian Press Organization, and eventually, somehow Nigerian Press Council started, but it was limping. Then when Abu Salami came, there was an amendment to the Nigerian Press Council decree, and which he made some amendment which Nigerian Press did not like. So the NPO, made up of NUJ, Nigerian Guild of Editors, then Newspaper Proprietors Association, now went to court to challenge that decree. So the matter went to High Court to Court of Appeal. So now it's gone to Supreme Court. So, but prior to that time, there was this contentious act, or bill rather, when Akinnola was in the House of Reps. It was actually from NUJ when Smart Adeyemi was president, and Akinnola just merely presented in the House. So, but because it had several objectionable provisions, so there are lots of uproar. So then the House Committee on Information now set up a committee called a technical committee headed by Prince Tony Momo, and to look at all the objections and come out with a clean draft. I was a member of that committee, and we came out with a clean draft of an amendment to the Nigerian Press Council, accepted to everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean to NUJ, to the Guild of Editors, to Newspaper Proprietors Association, to everybody. So, and which was presented to the House of Reps. But that's in how many years ago? About 6 years ago. Nothing has happened since that time. That would have been a major instrument to deal with the issue of infractions in the media, because there's no way you can have this kind of profession without regulatory body. You have a legal practitioner disciplinary committee for lawyers. We have the Nigerian Medical and Dental Council that deals with the issue of for doctors. So, and now we have media that runs around sometimes, and you don't have a regulatory body that can put a check. So I believe that the sooner the better that we get this in our house together, maybe to revive the amendments, the bill that we have sent to the National Assembly, so that the Nigerian Press Council can stand on its feet again and regulate the media.
So are you also of the opinion that our President Muhammadu Buhari has been trying to repress freedom of speech and expression from the people? Been trying to repress freedom of speech and expression from the people?
Well, I'm not aware of that. Yeah, it could be informal, but not a formal thing. I'm not aware of that. Yes, I know that. There are lots of statutes in our statute books, lots of laws, which are the moribund. They have been there since the time of colonial era. They are still there. So, and I'm not aware of any new bill that have been introduced in the.
No, that's like the social media bill, which is yet to be passed into law.
No. There's one. There's a cyber crimes law which was passed, signed to law by Jonathan before he left. The cyber crimes law, and with particular reference to Section 24. Or the cyber crimes law that deals with in terms of cyber stalking and stuff like that, which is an issue. Although I've been having some seminar sessions for journalists on how to educate them on that particular aspect. So, but so far I'm not too sure, with except with some few instances in which some state governors had used a place to harass some people over Facebook posts. I have not seen where the presidency had directly involved in terms of buzzing the press. Yes, I know that some state government, I know that there's an issue with a El-Rufai and a former Vanguard journalist, and I know that some state governments, I think Kogi State and one or two states have been trying to use.
Journalist Ahmed Sakida.
Sorry?
Ahmed Sakeda.
And that's the one I'm talking about, the Kaduna State. I mean, this is not the one in Kaduna State.
Yes, who was involved with the Boko Haram.
Yes, no, that's a different one. Oh, that's a different one. I thought you were talking about the Kaduna State. No. I remember that one. That's the only one I can remember. So, but I don't think that's a conscious effort to suppress the press. I mean, in fact, it's always even it's very difficult. Even when Buhari came with Decree 4, I tell you that despite Decree 4, there was no. I was in practice during Decree 4, in 1984. I mean. And despite that, I mean, there was no way then General Buhari and India could suppress the press. You can't suppress the Nigerian media. There's no way. It's impossible. Because we are quite resilient. We have a way of fighting back.
So moving forward now, what advice would you give to journalists, young journalists?
I think the basic thing is that the Nigerian journalists need to read. They need to update themselves. Because what I've seen these days, I mean, is very embarrassing in terms of our output. You ask questions, young journalists questions, they cannot even, okay, ask any Nigerian journalists, how many of them have Nigerian constitutions? So how do you now interpret news? How do you now write editorials? How do you write opinion articles that can influence and shape governance when you yourself, I mean, you have not updated yourself? So I think every Nigerian journalist need to update themselves on various aspects of journalism. Go for a refresher course, go to short courses, I mean, do research on your own, and it will put you in a good state in when you meet your colleagues and you discuss on different aspects, not necessarily journalism, on different aspects. For example, there's some people, you want to go and interview some, and I remember that, I can't remember who that person is. There's one politician, an old politician, that before you can go and interview that man, you must be prepared. Be very prepared, because the man will answer some questions yourself. So I think we need to update ourselves very well.
Sir, you were one of those who fought for democracy during the military era. Looking at the past presidents we have, starting from Obasanjo up to President Buhari now, would you say democracy as what you fought for really is really paying off now?
Well, I think there's no alternative to democracy. Yes, we don't have the best of what we had. I mean, Obasanjo had the best opportunity, but unfortunately, I mean, to me, he threw that away. Yar'Adua didn't stay long. Jonathan didn't have what it takes. I mean, so, and Buhari is there, yes, even though many of us who supported Buhari are not too happy that our expectations have not been largely met in terms of its output, but by and large, I think there's still a time to democracy. Yes, I believe that many of us who fought democracy, and we made a fundamental mistake in 1998, 99, when Absalami started his transition program. And under JACON then, led by Ganifa Ahimi, is a coalition of pro-democracy groups. And there was a decision to boycott Absalami's transition program, which, with the benefit of hindsight, was a major fundamental error on our part. Because when we boycotted the transition, we left the room open for lots of buccaneers, political buccaneers, to take over the space. And now, having entrained themselves, it's difficult for them to dislodge. So, and that's why you see a lot of terrible things happen in the National Assembly, a lot of characters here and there. So, and like I was saying yesterday, my write-up on Facebook yesterday, I was analyzing the Anambra election. I put the two pictures of the APC governorship candidate, Tony. In 2013, as I put the picture when Jonathan was lifting his hand as a PDP governorship candidate. Now, yesterday, Oshibajo was in Anambra lifting his hands up as the APC candidate. Now, what's the difference? I mean, there was a boy who was a faction and president of a faction of NANS in 2003 through 2004. And supporting Chris Uba when Chris Uba, I mean, engineered the abduction of Chris Ngige as governor. So, I mean, if a NANS president could, I mean, support that kind of debauchery. Then, and now he wants to become governor. I mean, it's unfortunate. So it's not for the electorate. So that's one of the challenges we have in democracy. I mean, there's no scruples, no ideological difference between PDP and APC. As far as I'm concerned, it's 6 and half a dozen. There's no difference.
Looking at the political recycling going on in Nigeria, starting from the 1999, we have the same set of people controlling the country. What would you advise Nigerians to do?
Well, you see, unfortunately, our political system is so much monetized. No matter the ideas you have. I mean, Ghanaian contested in 2003 for president of Nigeria. When we were doing campaign, we were distributing, sharing our manifesto. And we were telling if we know joy, people are again. So that's Nigerians for you. But they vote for people who have the money to win a primary election in Nigeria. You know what it means? I mean, it's lots of money. All the two major parties, I mean, you spend so much money to win the election. So, and when the electoral system is so monetized, it's difficult for any good person to come in, because, I mean, you don't have the resources to fight this kind of and train themselves. Because apart from bribing the electorate, you bribe the security forces, you bribe INEC, you bribe all the whole system. So, I mean, where do you start to confront this kind of people?
Do you really think Nigerians have a say in determining who become what?
No, I believe Nigerians get the kind of leadership they have. I mean, because many Nigerians, if you don't give them money, I mean, they will even look at yourself. Because, for example, once you indicate that you want to contest election has not even come. Once you indicate you want an election, everybody in your constituency, the person who is doing naming ceremony, they call you. You need someone to bury. I want to bury somebody. Has a child in the hospital. His mother is in the hospital. School fees. All manner of requests. So which you are forced to meet. And we are not talking about election expenses. You are not talking about to meet some needs, because once you have indicated interest. So the whole system is so terribly monetized that it's difficult for any good person to actually come in if you don't have enough money. I mean, I'm talking about heavy war chest.
That we are enlightening our electorate that it's not all about money.
Yeah, that's the only thing we can do. We going to do it. We're going to do it. That's the best thing, to keep on enlightening the electorate that, look, you are selling your future if you're going to collect money for this thing. Or if you collect their money, vote for conscience. That's it.